We're holding on to, holding to roll, holding on to roll on one. We rolling on one. Check, baby, 1, 2. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. The excluded middle.
Yes.
The excluded middle coming at you from the back shack. Ryan. Let's get the night started.
How's your week been, buddy?
Man, it's been enduring. A little better than last week, you know what I mean? I had some breakthroughs, and then, like I said last week, as I break through, there's some dude standing on the other side of there just beating me, man. So I kind of break through, start feeling it, and then boom, just get knocked right back down, man. So, but I still to get back up, man. So, but I'm here, you know what I mean? I'm here. How are you, Ryan?
If I was any better, I couldn't stand it.
I mean, I was thinking if I was any better, I'd be you.
It's my day off.
Yeah.
I can't complain about that ever.
Mm-hmm. I like a day off, man. Yeah. But do you ever really have a day off?
From work that pays the bills, yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
Spent my morning in prayer for about an hour and then had about a good hour discussion with you via text message, probably while you were supposed to be working.
Yeah, that was an awesome combo, though, man. And, I can multitask to a point. My wife would strongly disagree with that. Yeah. But I can to a point. You know what I mean? So
I'm the same way when my job, if something has to be done, I do it and put my phone down, but yeah.
And I think I've worked where I've worked for so long that I'm just, you know what I mean? I can just excel in it and still kind of multitask or get a little better at it, I suppose.
Probably before your normal work anyway, so it's 6 o'clock this morning. That's the bad thing about being on third shift is like my day's just ending when the rest of the world's is just beginning.
All right, man. Speaking of that, though, when do you go home? At 6 in the morning?
I don't. So today was my day off, but I still kind of keep that same schedule, unfortunately. I took a nap about 4 o'clock this morning for an hour and was back up at 5. But so I get off at 8 in the morning.
Okay. So the world's already awake then.
Yes, pretty much.
Because I was just thinking, that's one of my most favorite times as a runner. You know what I mean? When I'm waking up early and I go for those early morning runs and I get to watch like the city kind of just wake up and come to life. Yeah. There's something about it, you know what I mean? Running in the silence and the darkness, the street lights, and all of a sudden, you start seeing a little bit of traffic, and then you see business lights kind of coming on. And, back in the day, they used to have the flashing stoplights too going.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They still have a few of those, yeah.
And then they see them kind of go to normal, you know what I mean?
I noticed someone had posted on Facebook, it was probably earlier this week or last week, that said, if your generation went to bed when the local TV played the Star Spangled Banner, it kind of made me think a little bit because I'm like, gosh, that's what I grew up with. We didn't have cable. And so, channel 3, 12, 10, whatever it was, at a certain time during the night, it would go off air. And right at the end of that, they would play the Star Spangled Banner.
America.
I'm all right with that.
I am too, man.
They could have played a lot worse stuff.
Yeah. The Star Spangled Banner. Yeah, that's good. I don't know that I really remember that. Do not recall that.
Must have gone to bed early.
Probably so. Yeah.
It wasn't very often we were up late.
Yeah. I know I had a pretty strict bedtime when I was growing up, pretty young.
Oh, yeah. Except for when I stayed at my buddy's house.
Speaking of when I was little, like I remember, you know what I mean? I got an older brother, right? And we'd shared a room. And then as we got a little older, then it moved into like he had the back room, and then you had to go through my room to get to his room. Mm-hmm. But man, we would clown at nighttime when we were little kids. Yeah. Oh man, I remember Dad gets so mad. He'd come flying up, man. And, he would do one of those things, back in the day. And it was like he would have the belt.
Ready?
You know what I mean? And you could hear him coming upstairs because me and my brother, we'd be clowning for sure. And rightfully so. We deserve what we were about to get probably. Yeah. And he'd come running up the stairs with the belt, whipping that sucker off. And then he would never have to really get onto us. You know what I mean? It was just that factor of him holding that belt. It would be like lights out, man. We're done.
Listen, It's like he gave you an opportunity, the warning before he got there to straighten up. Before, like, don't make me do my job.
Yeah, really. And then what's even funnier too is, now that I think back, like he would take the belt off, and if we were real crazy, he would come in and just hit the bed or something, you know what I mean? To like give us that warning shot, like a warning shot, you know what I mean?
I get it.
That's about to be your ass, more or less. Right. And then he would take that belt and he'd make sure we were seeing him. And there was like this little handrail at the very top, and he would just hang that belt right there. With the whole light on, so we could see that belt just hanging there, man. So if we even thought about it, you know what I mean? We knew what was coming.
That's good.
And we'd push it to that about, a few times every week for sure.
Yeah. I would say we definitely got away with a lot more when my dad was home than when he was at work. And my dad, 4 times, he was an accountant, so 4 times a year for a couple of weeks he had to work really late. I mean, it was midnight, 1 o'clock before he'd get home. And he was definitely less strict than my mom on things like that. But, yeah.
And thinking that too, like, and I remember my dad always had a late night. It was a Tuesday, man. Tuesday was his late night.
He made late night plans that night?
No, he would work.
No, I'm saying you and Shane.
Oh, yeah. So, well, no, not necessarily. I guess, well, I mean,
all right, bro, we can stay up late tonight.
I'm about to get crazy. Yeah. And we're going to push it to the max for sure. And then, but it was like anything that could go wrong, you know what I mean? Like, it would happen on a Tuesday. Like, as far as like somebody, yeah, well, as far as like, bodily injury, you know what I mean? Like falling on my bike, busting my face, stitches, going to the ER, totally know what I mean? Like anything that could happen, man, it would be on a Tuesday.
That's funny.
It'd be on a Tuesday.
Well, I mean, that's kind of an interesting thing because stuff happens when the father's not around too.
Ooh, I like that. I like that little lead in right there.
Yeah. So what did we talk about last week? Do you remember?
Man,
I ask you this every week.
I don't know.
Here myself, I'm trying to think. I'm like, stay in the course.
Stay in the course, man. The little U-turns and the signs, you know what I mean? Watch out.
We had a main road in the middle.
Yeah, stay the course, man. Stay the course. Don't want to get off that.
I have struggled with that. I mean, even yet this week a little bit. I blame it on working third shift. It's affecting me in ways that I didn't imagine. I'm older than I was last time I did third shift. I was probably in my 20s.
Yeah.
And it was
graveyard.
It was easy. Yeah.
The graveyard, man.
I'm thankful that I love what I do.
Yeah.
That helps. And it gives me opportunity to do some other things. But yeah, I've been working by myself a lot, so I don't even have anybody to talk to. And that's kind of, that's not a great place for me to be sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it's not, well, you think about it, like during the day, if I'm feeling that way, I can call somebody.
Right.
Who do I call at 4 a.m? When the rest of the world's on normal shifts? Because the people up that are on third shift right now that I know, I shouldn't call.
Yeah, probably not a good phone call.
No, they should come see me where I work at, honestly.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
I'm taking this off, man.
The heater's working good.
Yeah, it is. Warming up fast.
I have it on low.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, we kind of talked a little bit this morning about endurance. And I know a few weeks ago we talked about the race of endurance.
Yeah, the race of the endurance.
So, what if we kind of talk about the testing of our faith?
Yeah, the testing of the faith.
And that definitely feel like, I think both of us, somewhat in our families and our close personal friends, have kind of been going through some stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely say so, man. It's, I mean, like I said, that last episode, man, it's been brutal. And as I'm coming through and starting to see things, you know what I mean? I'm trying to obviously, open up that vision, you know what I mean? Even more so, and actually seeing that and keeping that purpose and that focus, you know what I mean? Where it should be. And then, as that vision opened up, you get those moments of clarity. And as that clarity, you get those breakthroughs. And then as you're breaking those through, boom, it's just like you get continuously tested.
Yeah.
Then you're right back.
Count it all joy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the part where I struggle the most is that idea that even amongst suffering, there's 2 things. I think we're commanded to stay steadfast in joy. I just believe that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Reads. That doesn't mean that we're going to do it perfectly, obviously.
Right.
But at the same time, once that becomes your natural way, it's not complacency, it's not comfort, it's just better. And it makes things tolerable.
Yeah, it does. It does make it
It
tolerable.
makes me see a light at the end of the tunnel.
For sure. And that's that focus I'm talking about. You know what I mean? To maintain that focus.
Everything that's going on is trying to get me off focus, to get me off kiltered so I don't complete my mission.
And and it's wild too, because I'll have moments where things that normally don't even really affect me or bother me or don't even get into my frame, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden these things are happening, and then I'll start worry, or like almost, I wouldn't call it worry, but I start almost like my focus gets messed up, and I'll start focusing on things that I would normally not even care about.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden it's like it's bothering me.
Some of that's the cumulative effect of it being a thing that's like happened over and over and over again, and it's like that, the cliche. What am I saying? Like that cliche. I said cliche. Cliche saying, the straw that breaks the camel's back, that kind of deal.
For sure. And I think that is ultimately kind of the point of the test, is to see kind of where you are at in your walk.
I would agree with that.
And it is to test you to see if you're going to resort, to, I guess, more of a selfish, sinful type nature.
I think there's some scripture on that.
Or are you going to align yourself accordingly with Christ? Are you going to align yourself, like you said, and keep that constant state of joy, that constant state of gratitude, even through the struggle, and know that you are basically being purified through this?
Oh yeah.
And you're going to come out better, stronger, and and you begin to endure.
Absolutely.
And as you said, there's no, I don't know that anyone that I know does it perfectly. Well, I know I don't do it perfectly, but I think it's a matter of that practice and putting that into practice and continuing to work that way. And then as we go, we get better.
The good thing is that we both have people in our lives that do it better than we do, that we get to chase their tail lights.
Yeah. I like that too. Yeah, I like that. Your tail lights. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. My biggest thing that I struggle with is this. I think evil exists. Now, how does evil manifest itself? Through lots of things. You know what I mean? So then it's difficult for me, especially when it's the same people over and over and over again that are doing evil things and evil works. Are they evil people? How do we fight that?
I don't know, man. My thought process automatically went to like a Hollywood, you know what I mean? On the evil does exist and watching evil manifest itself, because you can look at like singers. I'm not very good at names or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, you can pick one, and they start off, just by their appearance. They're clean. They look good. You know what I mean? They handle themselves well. Mm-hmm. And then you can watch that evil slowly manifest itself and like take them over, because you'll have these guys. I mean, I should Google one of them here just to see, but I guess I don't really want to name drop them either way, even though you can probably just look them up.
Yeah. I've read so many articles.
Right. So you can move up, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? They're wearing they look like the devil. You know what I mean? They're singing with upside down crosses on stage. You're basically watching evil manifest itself by manipulation, corruption, by them losing their focus. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've read a number of articles, male and female singers, who literally in their interviews talk about, so they're like, well, how do you get to be such a great singer? How do you maintain this such great success? And they literally say they sold their soul to the devil. And then later in life.
But I guess the world, they'd be judging their success by the world. That would make sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how they're judging their success.
Yeah. They're short term. So yeah. So they're selling out, but you can see them totally change, man. They look weird, man.
Well,
they look totally weird.
If you go back and
creep me out,
and
right?
These are people that, you're talking about here recently when that dude, some recent events. So let's look at older singers that went through that.
I'm talking within the last few years, man. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at.
And some older singers that are now in their 60s, 70s, even early 80s, and they're in these interviews, and they had mediocre success, even though they were great singers. They dressed normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they totally change their genre. They go down this deep dive of drugs, depravity, sexual depravity, all this stuff. That first one that was on there would be one of them.
This guy right here?
Yeah. He came back around though.
Oh, I don't know much on this guy.
Chris Christopherson's amazing, has an amazing story. I love his music and I love his story.
Yeah.
He wrote the song "Why Me, Lord," and when he first wrote that, couldn't bring himself to sing it really. But the story that goes with that's amazing. If you want to look it up sometime, anybody. But so it goes beyond that. I mean, people that just reside in our tiny little town here that go through that, and I try to think in the terms: are they being tested and losing the test?
Yeah, I would think so. Are they not even caring about the test? You know what I mean? They're just so focused on that quick satisfaction.
So if you continually fail the test, what's that mean?
Then do you even know you're taking a test?
Well,
you know, or you just lose sight of it altogether.
See, that's where I wonder. Because so for me, I was raised in church, loved it until I didn't, and then hit and miss over the years. And I'd always say I was just I'm a Christian, just not a good one, which isn't a real thing, I don't think anymore. I was failing the test, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, going through all those trials, did it refine me into the person I am today? The test is necessary. Now,
but you kept coming back, though.
Little by little is
That's
more and
what I
more
mean.
each time.
Yeah. So those ones that are completely far out, I don't know that they've ever attempted to come back, maybe. They'd have to speak into that, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I think the ignorance of evil existing.
Well, for sure. Like, I don't see how you go, because you would have a hard time convincing me other than that, because you can watch them. Like I said, they'd be clean cut, looking good individuals. You know what I mean? Doing their thing, seem pretty. Stand up dudes, whatever, women, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And then over time, it's just like they're totally different, man. They're not even the same individual, and they're almost satanic, you could say, to a point.
Exactly.
And it's, if you can't, that's evil manifesting itself. That's how I see that.
My favorite word.
Yes, but I don't know what other word you could use right
coming
now.
Around to it.
Yeah, it's a good way to say it, because their thoughts are not on where they should be. They're being, like I said, being tested. They're failing, and their focus is completely off, and it's on this world, and then they slowly manifest in evil, man. Yeah. It's all around them. It consumes them, I would say. Takes them over.
Sad.
Yeah. Huh.
It is sad. So
watch yourself out there, Ryan.
Well, me, yeah. Absolutely, I have to.
Yeah.
It gets me grumpy.
I need to watch myself out there. Man, and I heard a Mike Tyson quote. I shared that with you, man. It was a pretty good one.
I can't even look it up.
Oh, man, I came across that through some reading.
We turn my headphones down a little.
Yeah. And it was...
The headphones are over there, the purple one.
There you go.
Turn it down a lot more.
There you go.
That's way better. I
must
have bumped it when I was doing something. It was like yelling at me.
And then I would say, what did his quote say? It was Mike Tyson. He said, "Oh, if you are favored by God, then you are favored. You are also favored by Satan."
Absolutely.
And I ate pretty good this morning.
Well, you think about that. The people that are shown and being favored. That's mine.
No, yours is here.
Oh yeah, you're right. Turn mine down.
Yeah.
That's way better.
Oh yeah, because I couldn't even hear myself. Yeah.
You can turn it up there.
I'd like to hear myself.
Turn it up. Me too. I feel like I'm yelling at myself though. That's why I'm talking so quiet.
Man, let's see if I can find this quote. Man, I want to do it justice.
Well, you think about that. The people that are not necessarily in the spotlight, that are doing the godly stuff, Satan absolutely wants them to fail, because the people that are looking up to them see that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll name drop Mike Bickle from IHOP. Been pastoring that church in Kansas City for, 20 plus years. Maybe longer than that. A lot of people are drawn to that church. They have the 24-hour prayer and praise room going. They have some great speakers come in. I would say for me personally, they're a little liberal with their theology, and I'm not a big fan of that. But all in all, pretty solid place. And all of a sudden it comes out that over the last 20 years, he's been doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. All right?
Yeah.
Now, Ravi Zacharias was another one. Really predominant preacher, especially in Reformed circles. Those are the circles that I like the most. was a highly regarded speaker, almost Billy Graham status as far as Reformed would go. Billy Graham was evangelical, more Baptist. But anyways, after he dies and they're going through his personal effects, they find all this stuff that he was leading a life that was not of Christ. Hurts.
That's wild.
So now do we disregard all the stuff that those guys said? How do we look at that? And then how do we look at that in ourselves?
I think a discernment would be key on something like that.
Well, if people's discernment was clear off, or they were hiding it very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to images. Up top here somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting this thing's touchscreen now.
Now you've done it. Chat GPT. It's the next one over, buddy. It's all a learning curve to technology.
Man, it is too. Oh, yeah. When you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. That's pretty much what I said there, man. I just wanted to make sure I got it right there. I don't want any Mike Tyson coming after me, man.
So, when we think about being tested, we use Job as an example.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
Okay, so God allowed him to be tested, but he's not the one that tested him.
Mm-mm.
But he allowed it.
He allowed it to happen. He took down the protection.
So, well, yeah.
And he never really personally attacked Job, though. Well, like he attacked people around him in all his surroundings. I don't think he ever did any real harm to Job himself.
One of the when
is that right?
Yeah, when Satan came and says that, and God, says, look at my boy Job down here, most faithful. And Satan says, well, you have a hedge of protection around him. I can't touch him. And God says, I'll take that away, but the only thing you can't do is afflict him physically.
That's right. Okay. That's what
so all in one day, he lost everything.
Yeah.
And there's a piece of scripture, too, and it always cracks me up, and I probably shouldn't even say this, and I should let it go at some point, but it says, Andy had a nagging wife. I think of that, and I'm just like, there's some merit to that statement of you should be careful who you pick. I'm just saying, I have a great wife.
Yeah.
You know what I had before? A nagging wife.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I was miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we're tested and the refinement process happens, there's two ways we can go about it, wouldn't you say?
What's that now?
When we're being tested and the refinement process is happening, because the testing is what refines us, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's two ways that we can come out of that.
Right. You either draw to God or you go away from God and drift away. There's only two ways. Yeah. I would agree with that for sure.
Broad road, narrow road, huh?
Yeah. I mean, more or less, yeah. And the narrow road is difficult.
I think so.
Very difficult.
I used to not see it that way.
Man.
But that's because I was on the broad road and misguided and thinking everything was good and had a good job and things were fun. Kids were in school. Baseball was going great for the kid. I mean,
yeah.
If you were looking
things
at
were
it,
working.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly had no joy.
Yeah, you just weren't working, I should say.
I had happiness, temporarily happiness, and
like that joy you were speaking on.
none of that.
Right.
Zero fruit.
And if things got bad, you just probably go into a whirlwind almost.
Oh yeah, it's crucial.
Right, because you had no way of handling that really.
Yeah. Yeah, I would lay some pretty heavy stuff on my counselor.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It never helped.
Yeah, yeah. Or you'd probably go to like a substance or an alcohol or
Mostly alcohol.
That's what I mean. Yeah, yeah. So you would find other ways to numb that feeling or that pain.
I drank so much to curb my feelings that the last few years I had to drink to have feelings. Yeah, that's where it got dangerous. Honestly,
that's pretty tough.
It was, because if I was angry and needed to be angrier, I drank. If I was sad and or something that I should be angry about, I had to drink to feel angry. If I needed to feel sad, I had to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And the first couple of years, man, all I could do was cry. I was not prepared to have real feelings again.
That is a brutal step in the process, man. To actually move more into your feelings, and then not just move into them, sit with them. You know what I mean, and then work through them.
Now I got somewhere to go with them.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
That is. And, that's again goes back to that joy. You know what I mean? You're able to you're able to find it. And instead of drifting away, you draw near, and then you're more capable of handling the issues, regardless of what comes at you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, now I'm like, bring it on.
Yeah, and then at the same time, and then I would say you're even moving into a state as you grow. Then you begin to move into more of a state where then you can serve. You know what I mean? And then serve your brothers, your sisters. That kind of goes into our conversation this morning about, carrying each other's burdens.
I think I'm definitely more equipped for that than I ever been in my life. Right. One of the things we did talk about is how we carry empathy and how that affects us and how we deal with that. And it was kind of I think where I falter is my willingness to carry it for too long. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I have zero to gain from that. But a part of me feels like if I carry it, they don't have to. Yeah. And that's not even how that works.
Yeah. There was a time where I used to be there too, where I would just carry it. And I always figured it too. Like that's when I always look at things like it's making me stronger. So I'm all like, right. Oh man, I'm you know what I mean? I can carry this. I got this.
I think to feel it temporary does bring true understanding. Yeah. Because then it's like, for the situation that I was praying over this morning is like, through all this despair, hurt, unhappiness, there's this utter gut feeling of true joy. Yeah. Now on the other side of that, the other party is not so much. It's distraught and despair and no joy. And that I easily want to forget about. Like, I'll just move on. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then, I don't know. I liked it a lot better sometimes when I had someone else to explain all that to me. When I was still growing. And I mean, I still am, but I guess the part of that is I don't know. I'm not reaching out probably, I guess, like I should, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So there is a lot of scripture on this, and I got on and picked through some of our favorites actually that we do talk about often. Not necessarily word for word, but definitely in context, right. When it comes to this refinement. And I think it's definitely, when we're meditating day and night, I think it's something that I think about throughout my day often. I didn't even know where they came from. And so I just literally Googled a few words that I knew. You know what I mean? Like test of endurance or refined by fire to gold, testing our faith. Yeah, I like the Job one. May we be tested and come forth as gold. I think he says, may I be tested and come forth as gold. I have that on my list. And it's like Job 40. I can't remember. I'd probably look it up here. I don't have Job in this Bible. It's the New Testament only in Psalms. But in 1 Peter 1, it says, in this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found of praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is literally saying that gold is perishable. Mm-hmm. And that we're not. That's pretty good. That's good. I like that. I had never seen it that way until I read it earlier today. Yeah. That as I'm reading this, I said, if we're more valuable and unperishable, then that means the contrast has to be that the other thing is perishable. Yeah, I like that. And I'm not saying that like it's some weird law. I think this is just the fact of what matters. Like you think of God, Jesus always existed. God is love. To have love, you have to have something to love. Jesus always existed. It's that simple. At the same time, everything has a contrast. The contrast to love is hate. Contrast to joy is despair. Contrast to happiness, sad. I'm just saying, I can go on and on and on. Everything has its opposite, the yin to the yang. Yeah. I knew you wouldn't like that one. Yeah. I knew. You got to start somewhere. Yeah, I was going to throw that to you. I knew you were going to be like, here we go. Stop. I got a Job. This is Job 23:10. This is the verse I was thinking of. Job 23:10. Yet he knows the way I have taken. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Yeah, so think about that's powerful, man. That idea isn't just a New Testament thing. Yeah. Oh, well, that's Job isn't Job like the oldest? I think it was the Genesis, oldest. Beginning of time. But I think written wise, like when they would say that Job was written before Moses wrote Genesis.
Yeah.
Right? Job existed prior
Right.
to the flood, I think would be how it goes.
But Job being the oldest book
Written.
Okay, that's how
Not
it
in
goes.
chronological order, obviously.
Right. But I always thought Job was like it would go Genesis and then Job, as far as on the timeline.
In this,
from creation to
right. But keep in
Revelation.
mind, in Genesis has Noah and part of.
I'm thinking Genesis chapter 1 then.
Yeah. So there's a guy in
One and
town
two.
that did a chronological Bible study, and they would do like I think 6 or 8 chapters of Genesis. Then they would do Job.
Okay, see,
Then
so Job
they would go back to Genesis, and then they would hit. Because you think of like 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Samuel, 2 Chronicles, all of them are like almost the same from different little bit the angles. Even though I think they're primarily written by the same person. I don't do near as much Old Testament study as I should. I'm so wrapped up in the early church and New Testament stuff that it really. So I was on Bible Ref looking up, and I think it was James 1, 2, and 4.
Man, I gotta, after we had that talk last week, remember or a few weeks ago when I threw out Bible Ref and said, you know what I mean, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting on some, some more commentaries and stuff that are coming soon, and
Yeah.
it's always the deeper ones that I need help on that they don't have.
Right.
Dude, I got an email, I think earlier last week or middle of last week from them asking for, they're looking for help for like donations and stuff so they could, get more commentaries going. So
From
they
Bible
can,
Ref?
yeah, so they can actually get them faster. So I was like, man, y'all listening to our show?
It's because you use them a lot is why. So when if you sign into a Bible Ref account, then they have your email and you sign up for their newsletter.
But I've never got,
They
I've
have
never got an
complete New
email from
Testament.
them asking, they weren't asking me, but in general,
general email,
you know what I mean? They're like, hey guys, we're trying to get these commentaries done, and they specifically said commentaries, and they said, we need to get writers in here,
Yeah.
Anything you could help us out with would be, outstanding.
They have a lot of Old Testament to fill.
Yeah.
What I do like is that they do offer verse by verse comparisons.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
love that.
they have the main ones.
They give you the whole list,
Yeah.
man.
Well, if you
Love
want,
it.
you can get the whole list. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
just type commentary, I think they give you like the main 7.
I mean,
Couple
I'll
paraphrases.
blow that thing out.
Yeah. I totally dig it.
Different translations all right there in front of you, man. I really like it. Anyways, go ahead, Ryan.
So James, it says, "Count, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience." So look up James 1:3 on Bible Ref, and let's look at some of the different translations because this is New King James. Some of them say growth, some of them say endurance, some of them say other things too. Steadfastness in the ESV.
Yeah. Steadfastness, endurance, perseverance, worketh patience.
Patience, that's the one.
King James coming through for you, Ryan.
Yes. I love that. I primarily use the NASB and the NLT.
ESV is lacking in nothing, not lacking anything. I went to
That's
James
1:4.
1:4.
That's fine.
Yep.
Now, so in the New King James it says, "But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfected,
Yeah.
and complete, lacking nothing."
I like that. Lacking nothing. Complete, lacking nothing.
So,
Made whole.
may be perfected. Is that a future tense?
I would think so because it takes practice, man.
Otherwise, it would say, "So you are perfected."
Yeah,
Maybe
I think so.
have been.
And if you're always practicing makes perfect. So if you're always practicing, are you perfect?
Is that biblical? It almost is. I think.
I think Mask Wolf sings it in a rap song.
I don't even know who that is. Trials, the world's
I think so. I don't know. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was, man.
trials, the world's oppression take place by God's permission. The issue is not trials per se, but our response to them. Properly received, trials reveal where our hearts are. They help to increase faith, which cannot remain static, but must grow or die.
They must grow or die. Yeah, you're either choosing life
Or death.
or you're choosing death. There's two ways. Like you said, there's two. You have two options. You either draw near to Christ, to God, to the Spirit. You know what I mean? The Trinity there.
Yeah.
You bring your Trinity closer to that Trinity, or you step further away And if you're going away from life, you're going towards death, which would be, the contrast to life would be death. Contrast to God would be the devil, the enemy. You know what I mean? So there's,
So here, this one gets
Ooh,
this one gets a little tougher now.
Yeah.
And it goes with this.
Let's go.
Examine yourselves as to whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Do you not know yourselves that Jesus Christ is in you, unless indeed you are disqualified?
Man, what's that? That almost sounds like a 1 John or something.
2 Corinthians, that's from Paul.
That's pretty good.
So there is, I think, 1 John 5, and then, of course, Paul talks about it, your endurance of faith through fear and trembling. And this is at the end of his letter to the Corinthians, and right before.
I love that. Test yourself. You know what I mean? Because we could be out of line and not even know it. You know what I mean? So you should be testing yourself. You should be doing that daily.
So this is Orthodox commentary. You'll love this. In this context, the test of being in Christ is a humble, virtuous life lived in communion with the church. I wholeheartedly feel that.
We are the church, man.
Yeah, but you have to look at it collectively, though. Yeah. The individuals do make up the church body. I totally agree with that. But it's hard to be the church alone. Yeah. In isolation. Yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, you got to have community.
So
if you're not in community, you're lacking in. I guess you'd be lacking in your discipline.
What would you test yourself against?
The word.
But you're not producing anything. You're not acting on anything if you're in isolation.
Man,
assuming total isolation.
Okay, well, I go to extremes on these. You know what I mean?
I know. That's why I use the extreme of total isolation. I would love.
What if you're stranded by yourself in some off the wall place? You're cut off from all society, all people.
Well, let's use Castaway the movie as an example.
I was gonna say, let's use Wilson. You find yourself next to Wilson.
Look at the road he went down to despair.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Now, of course, this is a Hollywood movie, and they're not going to bring Christ into that. But let's say it was a Lifetime movie, and someone's there, and they start praying, and all of a sudden things are revealed to them that were never revealed before. People were alone. Daniel was in the lion's den alone, wasn't he?
Yeah, isolated.
Yeah, and what happened there? God revealed himself to him.
Revealed himself.
Them three boys in the fiery furnace. They weren't alone per se, but I bet they were having great conversation at first.
Right.
Or were they?
So
Scripture says they were, that they weren't even scared.
So even in isolation, you can test yourself.
You'd have to be able to.
You would have to test yourself against the Spirit, against the Word, and you know what I mean? Against the Word, I would say.
Yeah, well, what you know of it.
Right. What's written, it's written on you.
Yeah, in theory.
I think it says that in Scripture.
It does say that. That comes down to this moral compass thing, though. When it says even the Gentiles knew, they knew things that were immoral, moral. Mm-hmm. Which...
You know what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So if you're continuously testing yourself, and I would say in isolation moment, you have to even test yourself even more so because you don't have someone else, you don't have that community to test yourself against. So it's just you versus you. You know what I mean? The ultimate battle anyways. So if you're not continuously testing yourself, then your discernment gets off, and then you would probably start going down into that despair a lot faster and faster. You know what I mean? Unless you're testing yourself and keeping that mind focused and keeping your thoughts pure. You know what I mean? And truly testing yourself.
So there was a group of the church that early on went to the desert to isolate themselves from the world because they were unhappy. I mean, really, I guess would be, they just weren't able to make a difference. They were trying, and they went there with almost to live a monastic life. And obviously that's carried on through the ages. That's why we have the monks and monasteries, and it applies to different religions. You have Buddhist monks, you have Hindu monks. I don't know if you really have in Islam, if they have monks or not. I've never gone down that road.
I'm not sure on that one.
But in other religions, they have that. You look at some Indian culture, they have the shamans that lived basically in isolation, except for certain times of the year. They would come out and do stuff. And they would test the spirits. Constantly test the spirits.
Do you think we should, us, as individuals? Do you think we should isolate ourselves more often than what we do
So
to truly, truly test?
I read through some books. One was Living Like Fools, Praying Like Monks. The other one, I can't even remember the title of it, but it basically begged the question of, can you truly pray like through this monastic life without living a monastic life, which would be an isolated life?
Isolation, yeah.
Now, you think about, and I don't know across this world exactly how all this plays out, but most monasteries are open to the public, right? And very rarely do you see the monks out in public unless you go there, right? Yeah. So over in Washington, I follow that Abbot Tryphon. He's in a monastery. I love the guy.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite people to watch every day, honestly, is Abbot Tryphon. So he's in a certain sect of Orthodox. I really honestly haven't researched him a whole lot, but I do like his theology based, it's 10, 15-minute homily a day. And they come out, and it's outside. They live on an island outside of Washington State. And so they come into the city quite often. And I love his stories of how that plays out for someone who lives a monastic life. Because, like, for years, he didn't. He stayed there predominantly for years. Now, he was raised Lutheran and converted to Orthodoxy in his, I think, early 20s. And I found that very interesting. Yeah. Because to me, Lutheran's Catholic light. It's the Protestant version of it. That's just my take on it.
I like it.
Well, it is. They still follow a very traditional form. They hold to a lot of liturgical things. And I mean, you think that their theologies from Martin Luther, who was a Roman Catholic priest, he didn't totally dissolve everything like Calvin did.
Right.
So there's that, and it still comes down to this idea when they're there. I was reading about a monk. He was known for his prayer, and keep in mind this was back in the day when I'm guessing he either had a wood or concrete floor. You know what I mean? It wasn't dirt, but he had prayed so much at his prayer corner that there were divots in the floor.
Oh wow, that's incredible! Same
something
spot
to
over
achieve.
and over again.
Right. I mean, to me, that's something. I'm just like, wow, that's really the definition of prayer without ceasing.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
And
as far as
you're talking over a long period of time too, but just the fact of that, whether it was wood or concrete, stone. I have no idea. I just remember reading that it had divots in the floor.
As you get over to that world, you know what I mean? As you read into it and kind of look into their way of living, their way of life, you know what I mean? There is so many just off the wall stories of things happening.
Good things, though.
Yeah. It's incredible things. Yeah.
That's where miracles happen.
It's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
We had a good discussion last week at church that about, how do you know the spirit that's talking to you? How do you test that? And that there would be certain places where it would be undeniable that it is the Spirit of the Lord. One of those places should be church, right? So we were talking.
You would hope so.
We were talking about the announcement of John the Baptist and the announcement of Jesus. So Zacharias is in the temple in the Holy of Holies, and the angel comes to him and says, "Your wife's going to have a son." And he says, "Huh, really? She's old and barren. How do I know this is going to be true?" And he says, "Because I'm Gabriel, and God sent me. And now, because you question that, you're not going to talk for 9 months."
Here's your sign.
Then the next account is Mary in her bedroom at home, and she's perplexed, right? And then Gabriel says, "You are highly favored, you are blessed," all these different things. And then she leaves and goes to Elizabeth, who's pregnant, 6 months pregnant. And the first thing I thought was funny was our pastor says, "What do you think Mary said to her?" And my wife says, "Hi." I said, "Guess what?" He's like, "Well, that's not really over the top like I was hoping for."
That's pretty good.
But, and the idea of that, why was Mary allowed to question and be perplexed, but Zacharias wasn't? Does it have to do with geography, where he was at?
Man, I don't know. I'm not sure on that one, Ryan.
I've been mulling it over for 3 days now, trying to understand that. But, I mean, one of the things that I noticed
You're talking about being Mary being perplexed?
Yeah, the Virgin Mary was perplexed at why Gabriel was there, chose her, all these different things. Right. It wasn't necessarily an unbelief, because she says, Okay, Lord, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? But Zacharias, who's in the Holy of Holies, where God's presence is supposed to exist, right? Questions it. Says, what? Yeah, right. Those weren't his exact words, but
Yeah.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So I would definitely say that when Trish and I were using her prayer room often and it was dedicated to prayer, when you walked in that door, it felt different than the rest of my house.
Yeah, definitely different. I think it's a matter of worship. You know what I mean? On that note.
I would even say the back shack felt that way somewhat.
Yeah, because I remember when we opened this up. You know what I mean? We were praying over the shack. You know what I mean? I think I even anointed with some oil there on the doorways coming through.
I spent a lot of time in prayer meditation early on out here.
Right.
And a fair amount of cussing when I hit my thumbs with the hammer. But
And I can say too, we were having a lot more conversations out here because we were doing daily ice baths out there for a while. You know what I mean? So we were always out here doing things. Yeah. And usually when we're together, we're always, our thoughts are typically in the heavenly places.
And now we're here
in our
once
discussions. A week. Yeah. So now we're only here once a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, and temperature has to do with some things, but there's not as much.
Yeah, school being back in session.
Right. There's just a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of things going on. So this place maybe is not as near as it was before. Oh, sorry.
It's not for lack of praying of and over the podcast. It's lack of doing it out here physically.
That's what I mean. We're not out here physically.
So we can sway the atmosphere of it in geography.
I think so.
I believe we can.
Man, I like how you took us that way. Right back to geography.
I told you we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Back to testing of our faith.
Man, I like that.
Let's look at some Old Testament stuff.
Yeah.
I think I got Psalms here in the front or back. I can't remember. Oh, wow. Alien.
And, back to isolation, too, while I'm sitting here thinking on it. When I was saying, I was wondering if it's, if we individually should take more time to isolate ourselves to test. Jesus would even do so. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right.
You think about him going up on the mountain, going to
I'm thinking the desert. Yeah, the desert rings a bell for sure. That's where he was, really tested for sure.
And I think that's why the early church fathers went to the desert, because that's where Jesus went to gain revelation, to be in more tune with God. He
also did a lot of fasting in those times.
Yeah, I haven't been doing that lately. I need to get back on board with that for sure.
Yeah.
So in Psalm 66:10, it says, "For you, O God, have tested us. You have refined us as silver is refined." 11 says, "You have brought us into the net. You laid affliction on our backs. You have caused men to ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, but you brought us out to rich fulfillment."
Rich fulfillment.
Yeah.
I always like how they reference gold, rich. I like that.
Well, they have to have something to measure it by, right?
Yeah.
Something that is easily identifiable.
Yeah.
And everybody held gold was the highest standard of currency. Everything was measured against that.
Yeah.
And still is. That's something that's never changed.
Good point.
Yeah. Our dollar's backed by gold.
I would argue that.
In theory, our dollar's supposed to be backed by gold.
Everybody's laughing out there.
In theory. Well, I mean, you think about literally it was like it was a silver note or a gold note.
I think that went away some time ago.
Yeah. So early 1900s, a $20 gold piece was literally 1 ounce of gold, because that's what gold was valued at. Now that $20 gold piece is worth about $2,400. Yeah. Just saying. So I wish I'd have held on to mine. When I sold it, it was $1,200. Yeah. Needed it. Had to buy a PlayStation for the kids.
Come across one, I'll trade a PlayStation.
Yeah, right. The poor choice, probably. I don't know. Yeah. It was a real thing, though. Yeah. Anyways. See if I have Proverbs in here. I don't think I do. I think it's just Psalms. Yeah. You want to look up Proverbs 17:3?
Yeah.
And I got one more out of the New Testament.
And I put in one just a minute ago, and it aired out on me. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests hearts. Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here it is. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace is for gold. and the Lord tests hearts.
So I think there again, it's talking, like obviously that we have this standard that's laid out against gold, but the value is more.
The Lord tests hearts. He's concerned about the heart.
Constantly.
Yeah.
That's my wife's Bible. She just always random this stuff in here.
Man, I like that. I always like those random cards, man. I got a Bible that's full of them, too. Just stuff along the way I grab and throw in there.
I love finding old Bibles and stuff like, estate sales and different things and reading through what other people have written in them.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite is the dedication that they have to keeping history of church and family. You know what I mean? Like the old Bibles that had all
I was going to say, had
your chronology or genealogy.
family tree.
Yeah.
The family
when
tree
they're
at the front.
baptized, when they died, all that
Oh,
stuff.
for sure. My grandma kept a family tree, man. It was quite impressive.
So Romans 5:3-4 says, and not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. Yeah.
I do like that one, too.
I was at
Becoming better and better.
that's where it's at, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're
I was just looking here, like Matthew 4:1, then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness
oh, yeah.
to be tempted by the devil.
Yeah.
So the Spirit led him into the wilderness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think he had to test the spirits like we did or do.
I just think it's wild that the Spirit would have led him, into the wilderness to be tempted, to test the faith. Brought him face to face with the devil. You know what I mean? To be tested. The Spirit.
Is the Spirit capitalized there? Maybe I'm
Yeah.
misquoting
It
something
is.
or misreading something.
Then Jesus was led by the Spirit, capitalized, into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil.
So I was thinking if it would have been evil spirit, it would be lowercase, right?
Yeah.
I'd have to think that.
I'm trying to look at some other translations now. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Now they all pretty much read the same. There's no difference in that verse.
So there's certain pieces they just can't change no matter what.
I know,
You
isn't that
can't
wild?
paraphrase out of that.
Yeah, I like that.
So
I like that. Let's expand it here. Well,
it's being cantankerous.
yeah, it is. Let's see. After 40 days and nights of fasting, Jesus faces 3 temptations from Satan. Each one attempts to lure Christ into abusing his power to take immediately what God the Father had promised to provide later. Jesus resists each temptation with a quote from Deuteronomy, refusing to rebel against the plans of God the Father. Finally, Jesus refuses to worship the devil in exchange for the kingdoms of the earth. He tells the devil to leave, and angels come minister to
I
him.
would say he still had a choice.
Oh, yeah. Even Jesus had the choice.
Yeah.
And and he had 2 ways, just as we go. We have those 2 paths we can choose from.
He could have joined up links and been ruler of this world now instead of later.
Whoa, yeah. Oh, that would suck for us.
It would have. Correct. Yeah.
Thanks, Jesus.
It would have sucked for all the saints that went before, possibly, too. I'm not sure how that plays out.
I don't either.
That's an interesting topic to talk about sometimes, how
is.
that salvation worked for the saints before the cross.
Pretty good.
But
yeah, he had 2 ways. He had the choice, man, and he chose to draw near to God, the Father.
he could have not gone out there at all.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
avoided
yeah,
the
he could have just
temptation.
avoided the Spirit and said, nah, man, hey, I don't think I want to go because I'm going to have to face some testing out there. It's going to get hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the hard knocks out there. I'm feeling a little SOF capital T today. I think I'm going to go ahead and ride one on the bench here. You know what I mean? Don't put me in, coach. I ain't ready.
That's right.
And but instead, you know what I mean? He allowed the Spirit to guide and direct him, even knowing that was going to be in a tough spot probably out there in the wilderness.
Absolutely.
Isolated, you know what I mean? Moving around.
Yeah. I think the Holy Spirit reveals to us enough to know that testing is worthwhile.
And think on that. You would think, Jesus knew that he was about to get into some tough spots. I would think.
I would think he had to know.
Yeah, I would think so too.
That's always such a great topic to talk about, and there's so much on either side of.
Well, check this out. This reminds me of a story, man. Remember when is before I had ran into you? We would not even be here today if I wouldn't have put myself into a situation I knew was going to be tough. I knew what was going to be uncomfortable, but I could feel the Spirit kind of lead me that way.
Right.
So I was like, well, if that's where I need to go, I don't really want to.
Yeah, all our other meetings were happenstance.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't really want to go. And then I showed up down there in Texas, and then lo and behold, there's Ryan Croy sitting there. You know what I mean? And I didn't know.
I was excited. I
just happened to run into you and was like, oh my God. And then I was coming back from I was isolating out there too as well, kind of testing the spirits, man, getting ministered by the angels.
I was definitely in isolation mode at that encounter, but
yeah.
Yeah, so I had the list as soon as I seen your name on there. It brought me a lot of joy, to be quite truthful, because it had been probably about a year since we'd seen each other.
Yeah.
And before that, like I said, it was happenstance for bits and pieces, hour at a time. Great conversations, though.
And the only reason why I went there is because I felt like I was being led and I needed to go there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I went, because everything in me was like, this is going to suck.
Well, so the last encounter you're signed up for, you didn't make it.
Yeah. I didn't know. Did I sign up for that one?
No, not in Texas. It was a Kansas encounter probably 2 years before that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that one. The only other one I went to.
I feel like I wrote you a letter.
Yeah, you did write me a letter.
You didn't go to the
I didn't think I was supposed to be there. I didn't sign up for it.
I'm pretty sure you're on the list. Someone else probably signed you
Someone
up.
put me on there. I didn't go, though.
Who's the guy you rode with last time?
Oh, that was my buddy Ben.
Maybe he signed you up for the last one. He didn't go.
Probably didn't tell me.
'Cause he's at a lot
Or
of
he did
them.
tell me. Or maybe he did. I don't know.
You know how many I've signed up for and not made it to?
Yeah, but I don't think I ever, I don't know. Maybe he asked me. He's like, hey, Ryan, you want to go? I was like, yeah, whatever.
And I'm pretty sure he signed you up.
Yeah, probably did. No, Ben, he did.
Yeah.
He was probably just trying to manifest me going to one, so he started writing my name down.
That happens so often. In our server training, we have a list of guys that buck the system and won't surrender. And they're hard. I'm not picking on you. I'm saying these are guys that had gone to church and might not have been in church in 10 years or living a pretty raucous life, drugs, alcohol, multiple things going on.
Yeah.
And we prayed and prayed and prayed. The dude never signed up. And this was the Candace one. And it was probably about 9:00 on a Friday night. He walked in the door.
Man.
He's straight up said, he goes, I don't know why I'm here,
Boom.
but here I am.
Getting directed, guided, man.
Yeah.
You have to. Like that one, I mean, I got guided there. I knew I had to do it.
Once you got to Oak City, there was no turning back.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I got in Ben's car, there's no turning back, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
So there is one
love
coming
that
up.
guy, man.
It happens to be I wear my encounter shirt tonight.
Oh, nice.
So there is a Texas encounter in Brownwood. I'm going to say this, either Brownwood or Brownsville. Crap, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere in West Texas, the first month of the year. It ought to be pretty good. Some of the guys that are putting that together I really like and love. But they're popping off all over the place, man. The one in Durant is fire. I talk to them guys all the time. There's one in North Texas, fire. And then there's some that it's like, wow.
It probably depends on the person there, too. You know what I mean?
Well,
you talk to different individuals that are there. I bet some of them coming out of it with a real good, you know what I mean, change.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think Christ has definitely served an encounter.
Yeah, I remember my first one, man. It was pretty incredible. I would have went to Salina.
Yeah.
But that'd have been years ago, man. That'd have been like early, I'd say middle 2000s, maybe like 2000. I don't know when they started, but maybe 2006, 7.
It makes me wonder if our favorite pastor was there.
6 or 7.
I don't know if he was still part of it then yet or not. He's kind of the one that put that together for Central Kansas.
And I know I didn't really want to go to that one. Like, me, I don't really want to go to him anyway. So it was like, and then I did go, and man,
I was 30.
I got something that I was not expecting.
Oh, absolutely.
For real though, because I was like, man, this is gonna be weird. I was like, I don't want to do this.
I was 30.
Like, this is not up my alley. No, thank you. And I went, and it was an awkward bus ride there, dude.
Yeah, so I felt like I was getting out of prison.
Yeah,
I've never been to prison, but that's how I imagined
man,
it.
And it was a trip, man. I was like, because I'm a dude, you know what I mean, around other, it's just uncomfortable. Yeah. And I remember, doing it, but man, after all said and done, dude, lifted and shifted. And man, it was an incredible experience.
Changed my life.
It did, man. Changed my life.
Definitely directed the course of my recovery.
Yeah.
It fashioned the foundation for my marriage. Me and Trisha had just started dating. I sent her to one the next month, but getting on the prison bus was terrible. Getting off the prison bus was great.
Yes, I like that. I like that. You said get off. Getting off, yeah.
You know, I sat by I sat next to a guy and I didn't speak to him. It's only probably an hour ride up there in the old bus going 55 miles an hour. I didn't say one word the whole way there.
Exactly. I didn't either, man. I was like total like, I don't know you, dude.
And there was people singing, talking, conversating.
Yeah, up front, like those guys were all riled up. Like, come on, guys, it's going to be great. I'm like, you guys are weirdos, man.
I was like, let me off here at Mac. I'll have someone come fetch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go that far. I went ahead and knew I was going. I was in, but I wasn't in. And then it's wild though too, man. I don't know if it's just a bunch of dudes. You know what I mean? I just know from a dude perspective, anyways. But like how you can take a bunch of guys, we don't know each other. Everyone's kind of like just, you know, and it was like that. A lot of them we weren't talking nothing. It was like, you know, a lot of us probably forced to go almost, and then we get there, and then just a few days or a couple days together. As a whole, on the way back, it's like we've known each other forever. So everyone's chatting,
it's about 30, talking it up. It's a solid 36 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Give or take, I guess. 6, 8, Friday,
you know?
12, something like that. Yeah, I never sleep at Encounter.
Yeah,
I
did, man. I did.
I think it's definitely a blessing to go to one.
Yeah,
and more often than not, you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah,
I've been to 10 at least now, probably.
I've been to 2.
Yeah.
The first one and that.
You have an opportunity to serve at one, it really changes the ball game.
See, I haven't served at one.
It really changes it up.
Yeah.
So, well, your mic's like cutting out on us. Maybe it's time to quit.
Yeah, it is getting weird. I don't know.
I don't know why yours does that and mine doesn't. Man. I think it's because you bang it around so much.
Probably so, man. I'm over here moving.
I sit perfectly still. I really regret giving you the swivel chair.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is, too. I don't know, man.
I've been looking at some podcast stuff and some of the podcast chairs that are really nice. They look almost like video game chairs, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I sit in a steel folding chair.
Yeah, you do, too, man. Maybe we got to switch it up.
No.
But see, I'm not even doing anything, and that thing's humming like crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't know where the interference is coming from. Got anything to close with?
I don't know, man. I got this. See?
I think it's your daggone bracelet. Nope.
Man, you leave my bracelet alone, man. You too. Leave my bracelet alone. I remember we had that little thing. It was trying to pick it up. It was like, it's a game changer. Leave my bracelet alone, man.
The physical thing.
I don't even know if it works, but I like it.
Oh, now you've done it.
Yeah. No, now it works.
Whatever you did, fixed it.
See? That's what it is for me, just hitting it.
Could be your laptop.
What's that?
Could be your laptop.
No.
I don't know why it's doing that. As soon as that shut off, it clicked.
I mean, I hit that.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
You hit it right.
So...
You ever had that happen?
I'll punch it.
You ever had that happen like in a vehicle? It's running like crap, and then you hit the right bump, and it like quits making that sound.
Yeah. For sure.
Just save me
$1,000. Just hit the dash a little bit.
Yeah.
Here, I got this one.
Right,
I know you've seen this one before.
Possibly.
All right. This is concerning prayer. The essence of prayer is not so much what we do as what God does in us. Meeting God in prayer is responding to the divine invitation to relationship. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. Prayer is not simply a request for divine favors, nor is it, at its core, a form of spiritual work. In essence, it is simply being with God. It is relationship.
Gotta have it.
Yeah.
I think that...
uniting.
Yeah. The more prayer I am, the closer I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, relational.
Yeah.
It's got to be this way, so it can be this way.
Yeah.
Kind of in the form of the cross.
I like that. Yeah, well, that's what I seen when you did it. Yeah, that's exactly what I seen.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Let your faith be tested, friends.
Oh, yeah. Let it be tested.
Endure.
Test yourself, man.
If you can't pray, reach out.
Let that spirit guide you into the wilderness to be tempted.
Yeah.
And may you be tested and come forth as gold.
That's it. Yeah, that's
For
it.
he knows the way of my heart.
That's
He knows the path that I
an
taketh.
important reality, isn't it?
Boy.
Can't hide that from him.
Nah, man. He knows you.
As hard as you try.
Good luck.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Love you guys.
Shalom.
Love you, Bubs.
Love you too, man. One love.